Hello everybody out there in comic book land, my name is George Serrano aka The Don, and with Luke Cage set to make his debut in the Marvel Cinematic Universe on Netflix very soon, we thought what a better prize to give the Clique than a crash course in all things Luke Cage. Created in the summer of 1972, Luke Cage first debuted in his own comic titled Luke Cage, Hero for Hire. In there, we find out the humble beginnings of Luke Cage, who was actually born Carl Lucas. Lucas and his friends Comanche, Stryker, and Shades lived kind of a rough childhood in the streets of Harlem, New York. It is that rough childhood and that rough path that leads them right into the gang known as the Rivals, which all four of them join. While they're in this gang, however, they get up to no good, dealing with petty crimes, assault, and even gang warfare against rival gang, the Diablos. After realizing how much of his wrongdoings are actually affecting his family, Lucas tries to find a way out of the Rivals and succeeds. He then tries to lead a regular normal life with a normal job, away from the gang and away from criminal activity. He still finds a way though to maintain his friendships with Stryker, Comanche, and Shades, even though they're still in the Rivals. Stryker does exceptionally well in the Rivals, eventually rising up to a rank of some power. But him and Cage, because they've been childhood friends, remain friends the entire time. With that rise to power, however, Stryker continues to get more and more violent and get more and more into criminal activity, which happens to scare Stryker's girlfriend. She tries to approach him about the whole situation, but he kind of blows her off. So she seeks security, she seeks solace, she seeks attention in the arms of Luke Cage. Stryker, enraged when he finds out that his ex-girlfriend and his best friend are now together, doesn't even think once it has anything to do with him and his criminal activity. He blames it all on Cage, saying that his ex was just waiting for a moment to get down and dirty with the Power Man. Stryker, now want to be one-upped, goes ahead and plants a whole bunch of heroin on Luke Cage, effectively getting him arrested and sent away. It is there that Lucas is recruited by a doctor to take part in some sort of experiment. Lucas agrees to the procedure, agrees to the whole experiment of cellular regeneration, and everything is going fine until the doctor decides to leave the experiment and Cage alone. Once alone, it seems like a sadistic prison guard comes in, messes around with some of the dials, sabotages the experiment, trying to kill Cage. Lucas doesn't die, however, and instead is given unbreakable skin, rapid regeneration powers, and super strength. All the things we know from Power Man. Shortly after adopting a shorter name, Luke Cage, Cage breaks out of prison and heads to Harlem, looking to find the drug lord that the heroin actually belongs to, which puts him on a collision course with Cottonmouth, a villain that's also going to be in the Netflix series. Luke Cage deals with all the villains that seem to walk their way into his neighborhood because although Luke Cage is a superhero, he kind of likes to take care of himself and his own, even going so far as becoming a hero for hire. That's a hero with a price tag. Before the experiment, Cage was already an all-star athlete and a talented street fighter, and now with unbreakable skin, cellular regeneration, and super strength, he truly becomes the Power Man. One of the things that excites me the most is that this show is going to take place in Harlem, New York. So much of Marvel's vast history takes place in the city that never sleeps, and I can't wait to see Marvel's take on Harlem. And of course, if the show is going to be taking place in Harlem, you gotta have the sights and sounds of Harlem. And when I talk about those sounds, I'm talking about hip-hop, I'm talking about rap, and that's exactly what Luke Cage has up its sleeve. You've seen the trailers with ODB and Nas, hits from the 90s, hits that New Yorkers know and love, that makes sure that this show is gonna sound like nothing Marvel has ever done before. And speaking of never done before, Marvel's gonna do some villains that they've never done before, because standing clear in his way, in his redemption quest to save Harlem, is Cottonmouth Stokes, a drug dealer who owns his own nightclub called The Paradise and has no problem taking care of business. Cottonmouth serves as one sizable villain who seems to have Harlem in his clutches when Luke Cage comes out of prison, and I'll be psyched to see how Luke Cage is able to handle such a challenge right in his very own home. It gets much deeper than the fact that all these heroes are based out of New York City. As a matter of fact, if you watch Jessica Jones, you already saw the budding relationship between herself and Luke Cage. And in the comics, those two actually get married and have a kid, so who knows where that relationship gets taken in Luke Cage Season 1. Danny Rand, aka Iron Fist, master of the Kung Lung style of martial arts, also is a mainstay in the Luke Cage comics. Those two having their own spin-off comic because Danny Rand eventually gets with Luke Cage, creates this firm, Heroes for Hire, in which both of them are sworn to protect, to serve, and save the citizens of New York City for a price. Now I know that might sound a little bit sticky, but they have actually the legal assistance of somebody you guys may be familiar with if you've seen Jessica Jones, and that is Jerry Hogarth. With her legal expertise, Iron Fist, Fist of Fury, and Luke Cage's pure power, Heroes for Hire becomes a successful protection firm, something that gives Luke Cage and Iron Fist something to do in the Marvel Universe. That brings us to Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, the first of these 4 Defenders to make his debut on Netflix. Well, Cage and Daredevil have crossed paths many times because of their similar beliefs and morals dealing with heroism. Cage even went on a sparring match with Daredevil, with both of them coming out even. But regardless of whether they're back-to-back or face-to-face, Cage and Murdock have a tremendous amount of respect for each other, and it's going to be really cool to see how those two cross paths leading up to the big Defenders crossover event. Of course, I've been excited for all the media that Marvel produces. They have been on such a roll, hitting home runs left and right, but this show in particular piques my interest because, surprise, surprise, Luke Cage is a black superhero. And I'm not talking about a black sidekick. I'm not talking about someone like Lucius Fox who makes all the cool gadgets for the superhero. I'm talking about a main title superhero. Luke Cage, taking place in Harlem, a black superhero with unpenetrable skin, and a time like today is the superhero that might be most important of all, as he goes from his humble beginnings, a poor childhood, troublesome childhood, gang violence, all the way to become the hero that we all know him to be. And watching that journey may change a couple of lives for those sitting at home feeling like they're disenfranchised, feeling like they don't have a voice, feeling like New York itself can be a trap. Luke Cage can be that beacon of hope for all the people who feel that they've never got a shot. Well, now that we've dealt with all the nooks and crannies of Power Man, aka Luke Cage, I hope you guys are excited as we are to watch Luke Cage make his debut on Netflix on September 30th. But that's not the only thing we got coming down the pike here at Comic Book Clique. DC and the DCW have a bunch of shows coming with brand new seasons. There'll be movies from both production studios coming out very soon. And in case you don't want to miss all the newest and hottest and greatest and latest things to come to comic book and comic book media, you're going to have to share, like, and subscribe all the things we do here for Comic Book Clique on YouTube. Go to the Facebook, go to the Instagram, type in Comic Book Clique on Google. We're on Google now, people. We're all over the webs trying to give you the information you need to up the excitement on projects like this. If you'd like to support this channel, like I said, like, subscribe, share, get the word out, grow the clique. You can also go ahead and get cool shirts like this made by Comic Book Clique. Like that, huh? An official Luke Cage Power Man t-shirt you've never seen before. That link will be in the about section of this video. Go ahead, check out the store, like the videos, share what you can. I'm over here feeling like Power Man, and I think I'm about done. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don. This has been a Comic Book Clique crash course into Luke Cage. And remember, you are worthy.